Good evening, and it's Lilia from Heal Scotland and Scotland's Wild Medicine. And tonight we are going to be talking about parasites because we've been learning that there's a whole load of little critters that live inside us that can be eating a lot of our vitamins and minerals and causing havoc and creating symptoms. And we have Giovanna Franklin with me, who's just launching her own parasite cleanse, which I'm about to do. It arrived in this tiny little bag, and I've got these little supplements here, and I've got my, I don't even know how you say that, dietetic reserve. So, Giovanna, thank you so much for this. I'm really so happy. When I saw you were doing it, I thought, great, something that's specifically for the parasites, because I can see in my technology, as you can, what a huge issue this is and going undetected for most of us. So can you tell us briefly about homeopathy and about this specific parasite cleanse?
Okay, so homeopathy in general, you may have heard me say this before, it's like acupuncture without the needles. So homeopathy is there, the remedies are there to stimulate your own immune system, to self-heal, because we all have the capacity, the skills to self-heal to some extent. And so this is what homeopathy does. In this case, I decided to combine homeopathic remedies with a supplement, which is the diatomaceous earth, DE for short. And this is really specific to get rid of parasites. And some of you perhaps may think, well, I don't have parasites. Oh, yuck. And there are still some doctors I hear on social media saying that parasites are not a problem unless you go to, the Far East, or you go to exotic places and, the water is contaminated. But in the West, everything is clean, everything is fine. And that's simply not true. And the way that I realized that, I used to think that, but the way I realized that was by testing. And because I treat a lot of children, and particularly complex children who tend to have leaky gut and gut issues, I realized that they had a lot of parasite issues as well. And the other thing about parasites that is a kind of myth is that, well, I don't see any parasites in my stools, or, oh, I've done the test. I went to the doctor, I did a stool test, and it was absolutely clean. And the thing is, parasites can go absolutely everywhere. So just because they're not in your stools, it doesn't mean that you don't have them. And I have seen children go to other naturopaths and do other tests, and they found parasites in the bone marrow, in the brain. It sounds really, really scary. And there are so many different types of parasites. And a lot of them you cannot see with the naked eye anyway. And they're very, very hard to detect. And so very often they slip through the net. And even if you do regular lab tests, they will not come out. So I'm not saying this to scare anybody, because there is, you can do something about it. And it's not even that crazy things that you have to do. It's quite simple. So how do you know if you have parasites? So there are very obvious signs are, for example, grinding your teeth at night. Particularly children, I see doing that, but adults as well. And grinding your teeth at night and very, very restless, like, you're kicking and moving and all elbows and feet during the night. Then, of course, itchiness in the bottom. Sometimes itchiness on the tip of your nose. And again, you see that in children because children have less filter, so it's more, it's easier to spot the signs. Adults tend to, camouflage. But yes, itchiness on the tip of your nose and the rectum, but also things like any type of digestive issues that you may have, bloatedness, sluggish digestion, even things like IBS, and brain fog. Parasites can really affect the way you think, your mood, irritability, lack of concentration, in general, kind of low, sluggish energy, tiredness, fatigue. And of course, these are symptoms that can be a sign of lots of other things. But if you have if you follow a kind of discipline or regime whereby, okay, your diet is pretty clean, you exercise, you do the things, and then maybe once a year, you decide to do a parasite detox, which is really like doing a spring cleaning in your house around this time of the year. I think it's the best time, because spring, it's not by chance that we do spring cleaning. Everything renews, including ourselves and our cells in our body. And so it's just a good idea to do it as a matter of maintenance, if you will, like you do your MOT. And just do it. It only takes 4 to 6 weeks, and it's not particularly complicated. So the diatomaceous earth is practically silica. Most of it is silica, and silica is one of the essential minerals. We need silica in our bones, in our teeth, in your fingernails, but it's also very good for cleansing the body. And this particular type of silica, that's called DE, and it's food grade. It's important to stress that if you buy it, you need to buy the food grade. So it's ingestible, because there's also the non-food grade that's used for, for your plants and for other purposes. That's a very good natural parasite killer. And it doesn't taste, it tastes pretty okay. It doesn't have any particular taste. All you have to do is put a teaspoonful in a cup of water first thing in the morning before breakfast. Wait about 20 minutes before eating your breakfast. And that's what you have to do every single day. And combined with that, the homeopathic remedies, and they don't have to be taken every day. So you just start with one, then 10 days later, you add a different one. There's about 3 remedies in total, 3 different ones. And then there is a 4th one if you decide to repeat the protocol.
Right.
Okay.
So I just glanced at the instructions. So you get these, it's crazy to think these tiny little things can make such a difference. And so what's in these? Because
Yes. So if you get the kit that you can get from me, the first remedy to start with is Senna. Senna is the most common homeopathic remedy for parasites. Right. And the goal is not just to kill the parasites, but it's to kill the eggs, of course. And that's why it takes about 4 to 6 weeks, so that you capture the cycle of the eggs to hatch. But also the main goal is to make your gut, your system, your environment inhospitable for the parasites, so that they don't come back. Yeah. Basically, because that's the idea. So you alkalize your gut, and you make sure that they don't find it comfortable to stay there. So you start expelling that. The second remedy that you take after 10 days on the protocol is sulfur. And sulfur is a great cleanser, general cleanser. It just flushes you out. But because they're homeopathic, they are really, really gentle. So you're not going to feel any discomfort. I was actually asked once, is it one of those detoxes when I need to stay in the house for 6 weeks because I'm going to be on the toilet for 6 weeks? No, that's not going to happen. You are going to see maybe more frequent bowel movements, which is a good thing. Mm-hmm. Okay, gross alert. The bowel movements will also be more stinky than usual. You might pass more gas because basically you are stirring things up in there and hopefully expelling it and getting it out of your system. And so there will be things like that, and your sweat will be really smelly. You'll be smelling bad. Okay, so you'll be smelling bad. So you'll need more showers. Yeah, you probably need more showers. So I'm on day 4 of the cleanse, and we're all doing it in my family, and we've all noticed we stink right now. So it's a good thing we're doing this online. So more showers, yes, because the toxins are coming out. But that's a good thing.
Yes.
And drink more water for sure, because you are drinking the silica drink in the morning. It tends to dehydrate you, but if you drink more water as well, that will also help flushing things out. So everything helps. You will probably get clearer skin. That's what my husband noticed for himself. His face looks clearer. My son as well, because he has kind of itchy skin. His diet is terrible. He's a teenager. I can't tell him anything. So I'm really hoping that he gets some of his toxins out. And you should notice, it's early days, but after a week or 2, you should also notice more energy, sleeping better, and thinking more clearly. And perhaps if you have some conditions, now this is not meant to cure anything in particular, but it definitely helps, because we're all full of junk in our bodies, and to lighten the load will make your body automatically work better, more smoothly.
Yeah, brilliant. So you don't expect the usual kind of detox symptoms, headaches, fatigue, etc. Just you're going to smell of it.
I don't expect that, and this is why I do it this way, because of course there are lots of ways. There's always a lot of ways to skin a cat. But the one of the reasons why I love homeopathy is that it's really a gentle process. You don't want die-off reactions, especially if you are already not feeling great. You don't want to aggravate things and feel worse. And so this is why I find this is the most gentle way that I know of. If there's anything better and I find out, I will share it with you. Yeah. But so far, this is it for me.
So how often would you say you should do a parasite cleanse? I know when I was traveling in South America and in the Caribbean, it's a common thing. Everybody does it. So, and some people said every 3 months, you just, do and I suppose it really depends on your lifestyle as well, doesn't it? But on average,
how many? Yeah, I would say, if you're in reasonable good health and you have a good lifestyle and a decent diet, once a year, maybe twice a year, but really once a year, just as a maintenance thing, if you don't have anything in particular going on. Children, maybe twice a year, purely because they tend to catch things. They if they are, they go outdoor, they touch everything, they eat the earth, and things like that. They go to school, there's all sorts of bugs. So yeah, maybe twice a year, but I wouldn't do more than that unless you're doing something, you're traveling a lot and so on.
I would like to do it with my grandkids. Is it the same deal? The same dosage?
Yeah, it's exactly the same deal. The only thing is, for children, instead of a spoonful of the diatomaceous earth, a teaspoonful. So that's the dose for kids.
So a teaspoon for kids, and how much for me?
Spoon.
A tablespoon?
A tablespoon, yeah.
Ah, okay, cool. Somebody's asking, do you have a kit for two people? You just buy the two, would you? Or do you have a family?
For two people, I usually people have bought the kit and they can do, the whole family can do it, because you only need, in terms of homeopathics, you need 2 pellets for each remedy. So I always put about 10 or 12 pellets in each envelope. So there is enough for a family of 4
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay, okay.
I
Good,
always
good.
put more, and then the diatomaceous earth always comes in a massive bag, so there
Well,
is enough for everybody.
I can easily share this with my daughter, no problem. I never really thought about that. I'll talk to her about it. It'd be quite interesting if we all did it and see how we felt afterwards. Great. That's amazing. And what, in terms of diet, what would you say people should be eating when they're doing it? Does it matter?
I don't give a diet to follow. What I would say is that we know that parasites feed on sugar and carbs, and so bear that in mind. Because it's like doing a cleansing for smoking and still puffing up 12 a day. It's kind of counterproductive. That's the only thing. But other than that, I don't do a diet protocol with that.
Yeah, okay. And I'm gonna do your voice print, and we'll see over the next month how if we can see get a reading to really convince us. What about, does this work for heavy metals?
So not this one, no, because the diatomaceous earth is really a parasite killer, and also the remedies that I use, Sina, is really specific for parasites. So no, for heavy metals, there's a totally different protocol. I can introduce that as well. There's different remedies. With heavy metals, it's also a bit complicated, because sometimes it depends which heavy metals.
Yeah, I'm taking zeolite, so I'll just carry on taking that with this as well. And that should.
Zeolite is great. Zeolite is great for toxins in general and heavy metals. With heavy metals, sometimes, because I see this a lot with complex children, it makes a difference. There's different symptoms. If it's mercury, we're talking about. If it's arsenic, we're talking about. So sometimes it's a good idea to have a test done, so that you know which heavy metals you're dealing with, and then we can do either an ad hoc kind of detox. There is a general detox, but with heavy metals, the die-off reactions are more common. So it's a different story.
Yes, yeah. That'll be interesting as well to see if I can. You've got a bioscan as well, so you can read and tell whether people what heavy metals it is. Can you tell it from that?
From that, it only tells you that there are heavy metals. Then from the symptoms, you can work out which heavy metals perhaps we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll need to show you the one I have. It can narrow down the heavy metals, but of course the reality is that we can have traces of all of that stuff anyway. In the body.
Yes, and it's not a bad thing. It just depends. It really depends on what they are, how much, where they are stored, because there are certain heavy metals that we shouldn't have at all, like mercury. We just should not have any of it. Arsenic, yes, we do have, and it's in food as well. So yeah, we can have traces.
Aluminium.
Yes, that one as well. So in homeopathy, there is a heavy metal protocol where you take polymetal, it's called. So it's a remedy made from all the heavy metal, the common heavy metals. And you can do that from, gradually from a low potency to the highest potency over a period of time. But I would advise to work with a homeopath for that, because, along the way you can get aggravations, die-off reactions. You need to take other supplements to bind the toxins and so on. So it really, really depends. If you really have a problem with heavy metals, you need to work with somebody.
And do you think that, because I know there's parasites, bacteria, prions, rickettsia, viruses, there's a whole load of worms, flukes. They've all seemed to have different names for all the little critters that are in there. And is it because, according to the doctor I've been studying with, a lot of people are getting B12 injections now, and they're like, well, she's saying that's the flukes are eating the B12. And that's why. So, that certain deficiencies in vitamins and minerals are caused by these little critters eating it up. Have you seen that?
Yeah, definitely. And that happens especially if you have this condition that they call leaky gut, whereby literally your gut is porous, and you don't keep the good nutrients in, but also it's open to the bad bacteria and to parasites. And the toxins, because it's leaky, go into the bloodstream and they get to the brain, they get absolutely everywhere. So you really need to strengthen the immune system, seal the gut, and as well as expel the toxins that you have already. So, and
the kidneys and the liver need to be need to be clean and clear as well, don't they? You have to really make sure
you have to work on all fronts, basically. On the immune system, the gut, support the liver and the kidneys while you're doing this. It's quite it's an operation. It's quite an extensive operation. You have to really throw everything you want. You have at it.
I'm going to carry on with the zeolite and then see how the heavy metals are, because would you think that if you don't address the heavy metals, then you're just going to keep having the same problem with this kind of infestation of fungus and yeast infections and bacteria, because the body's trying to break down the heavy metal?
Yes, and the problem with the heavy metals also is that the heavy metal can stay in your body for decades before you feel any symptoms, because particularly things like mercury, they like fatty tissue, and so it will go straight to the brain because it's the fattest. The brain is like 98% fat. And that's when you have, and you can be absolutely fine until, you're in your 60s and 70s and you start, then you get Alzheimer's and you get all these things, cognitive issues and so on. So it is important to keep the heavy metals out for sure. And keep the immune system, the gut, healthy. Because if the gut is healthy, yes, we are exposed to everything, but our immune system will deal with it and get rid of it.
Yeah. Somebody's asking here, what are the costings and how long do you take the detox for?
Sorry?
What are the costings? So it's 99 for the homeopathic remedies.
The £99, that's for the whole kit, and also support from me. So I typically have face-to-face Zoom consultation, and then monitoring the detox if you need any help during the 6 weeks, and then a final consultation at the end to see how things, what the difference is, and what issues you've had, and so on. If you want to do it yourself, it's just £30 for the kit for the remedies and the daily planner. I have a daily planner in PDF that tells you step by step what to do for each day. what to take, when, how, and so on.
Okay, and you need to get your own DE. So
yes,
make sure
and you
you've
take
got
the
that.
DE, which is really easy. I mean, Amazon has it. It's
Yeah.
very
So you're
easy.
looking at 6 weeks then for this?
Yes.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Well, if anybody else has got any questions before we wrap this up, I'm looking forward to seeing how I feel at the end of it. Yeah, it's really, really interesting. And I think, you know, looking at the digestive system now, which can have fungus, it can have yeast infections, bacteria, and, you know, it can be leaking. It's like, oh my God. And then that causes so many symptoms for people. And then they get a diagnosis of something else, when in actual fact, it's all stemming from this, you know, dysbiosis in the ecosystem we call the digestive system. So it's really powerful and helpful to know that's something that anybody can do. So it's only 30 for the actual remedies.
Yes, yeah, just for the remedies and the daily planner. Yeah.
And people just send you a message on Facebook or?
Yeah, you can message me on Facebook through the page, the Heal Scotland page. If you follow me on Homeopathy Heals Facebook, you can message me there.
You've got a chat going, haven't you, in our health and wellbeing group? So people could join that too. Do you stop taking other things while doing this? I don't really know what other things do you mean. Do you mean other supplements? I'm not entirely sure what that means. If you're taking supplements, would you just carry on with them as per usual?
Yes. Yeah. If it's just supplements, yes, you can keep going. If you're taking other homeopathics, I would need to know what it is that you're taking.
Yes.
And if you're taking medication, I don't think it interferes, but ask your doctor, because I'm not a medical doctor, so I don't interfere with prescribed medication.
Yeah, clever. Okay, fantastic. Well, listen, anybody watching this on replay can send Giovanna a message. You can go into the Heal Scotland Health and Wellbeing Hub. She's got a homeopathic for beginners chat in there. You can also get her Giovanna Franklin. You can also get what's your Facebook page? Homeopathy Heals.
Yeah.
So people can get a hold of you there. That's fantastic. Well, listen, thanks a million. That's I'm excited to get started. And and would you say though that if people, I mean, most people do travel a lot to foreign countries now, usually at least once a year. So if you have been traveling, there's even if you feel you've not picked one up here, you could definitely pick one up when you're abroad, couldn't you?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And then it's the laying of the eggs and all that. I think that's the thing that always tripped me up before. You never thought about you feel better and then you stop and then you realise, oh, the next generation.
Yeah, because the eggs are still there, and sometimes you will find that there will be the parasites are more active during the full moon, and some people feel worse during the full moon. So it's a good idea to start in the full moon, but it's not strictly necessary. And because it's 6 weeks anyway, you're going to hit a full moon at some point, so you're going to feel it. But some people are more sensitive than others, and they literally feel worse during the full moon because of that. It's not a myth. I used to think it was just a folk story, but it's true.
It's definitely not. Yeah, for sure. Right, well, brilliant. Thanks very much. And any questions, if you by any chance you can't get Giovanna, ping me and I will pass you her details on. Listen, thanks a million, and I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. Hopefully the smell will be gone by then. I'm not going to be stinking at the festival.
I know, yeah. That's going to be interesting, but I'll keep people up to date. I'll post updates of what's going on with me on the protocol, so so people know what to expect.
Awesome. Thanks a million.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.